Hey, tell Dylan to come here when you see him. Tell Dylan to come here when you see him. He said what?
He's here, so I'm gonna go grab him.
Check with the CEO.
Congressman Scott, on behalf of Christian City, we'd like to welcome you to the town hall meeting that Congressman Scott and representatives from the federal government will be putting on. And we're thankful that you came out today in this inclement weather. But we're here today, and we're thankful for God that He has allowed us to be here today. Am I right or wrong? Amen. At this time, what we'll do is we have just a slight deviation. I heard some of the residents say they want to do the Pledge of Allegiance, if that's okay.
That's fine.
That's okay.
Yes.
If y'all will please stand.
Yes, indeed.
And I'll start it off. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. This time we'll have prayer by our own chaplain, spiritual leader, Mr. Carl Ryden.
Let's pray together. O great and sovereign God, we come to you this day, a day of purpose, a day of hope, a day of blessing as we gather to celebrate the richness that you've given us in life and in this place that we call home. Lord, we thank you for the privileges and the rights that we have as Americans, for the right for self-governance, and we thank you for the opportunity of one who's come to talk to those he represents. Lord, we thank you for Congressman Scott as he seeks to, under you and service to this great country. We thank you for his time. We ask your blessing upon our fellowship as we celebrate those wonderful freedoms that you've given us. We pray in Christ. Amen.
Again, my name is Keith Horton. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Congressman Scott. When he and his staff called several months ago, we were honored that he would come to Christian City, a place where loving people love people, come to this place to provide information, critical information about Social Security, IRS, VA, as well as Medicare and Medicaid. We were enthusiastic and excited about it, and his staff has been absolutely wonderful throughout the coordination of this particular event. And so we're thankful that they're here today. So let's give them a round of applause for being here. Now, I have the responsibility of reading off the bio of Congressman Scott. I'm going to tell you that I had to shorten it a little bit because Congressman Scott has so many accolades, so many accomplishments. But I'm going to highlight some of the things that Congressman Scott has done over the years serving this district in Fulton County, as well as the other districts across the state. So Congressman Scott, David Scott, he was born in humble beginnings in North, South Carolina. I want to make sure I got that right. North, South Carolina. He's moved with his parents to various locations: Scranton, Pennsylvania, Scarsdale, New York, as well as Daytona, Florida. What really struck me about his early beginnings is his humble beginnings, because he worked with his father on the garbage truck and worked his way through school as a busboy, waiter, and dishwasher at hotels and restaurants along Daytona's famous beach, and graduated with honors from high school. He went on to FAMU, Florida A&M University, where he earned a bachelor's degree. And then, most impressive is that he went to the University of Pennsylvania, Wharton School of Finance at University of Pennsylvania, and earned his MBA degree. So, very distinguished young man. And then from that, his business career spans that he moved to Atlanta and started an advertising business, Dane Mark Advertising. His political career started in 1972. He was working on Andrew Young's successful congressional campaign, and then in 1974, he was elected as a Georgia state representative, where he served from 1975 to 1982. He authored several laws during that time, but one in particular, he authored the law to provide for gun safety, including creating background checks for gun purchases. And then in 1982, Congressman Scott was elected as a Georgia state senator, where he served from 1983 to 2002. And he successfully passed several major laws, including a moment of silence for reflection of prayer on Georgia's public schools. He wrote the Georgia law that gives women with breast cancer surgery the right to determine their length of stay in a hospital and the level of medical care in consultation with their physician. As a U.S. representative, in 2002, he was elected as a U.S. representative, and he serves his 10th term representing Georgia's 13th congressional district, which includes 6 counties around the metro Atlanta area: Cobb, Clayton, Douglas, Fayette, Fulton, and Henry. And he began his public service as elected Georgia General Assembly in 1974. In Congress, he's authored several laws, including student loan repayment assistance for law students who become public prosecutors and defenders, so that top attorneys will be attended to public service. He also secured $80 million in funding in the 2018 Farm Bill for agricultural focused scholarships at the 19 historically black colleges. And then for respect for veterans is very important for Congressman Scott. And after the scandals were revealed at our Atlanta VA hospital, Congressman Scott worked in a bipartisan effort to pass major reforms of the VA and was the first Democrat to call for the resignation of the VA secretary. As chairman of the Agricultural Committee, Congressman Scott recognizes the vital role, and I can tell you, he understands the vital role that agriculture plays in the rural areas of this state and across the country, as he co-authored a law to reform the federal dairy program, which helped keep prices affordable to consumers. He also supported land-grant universities such as University of Georgia, Fort Valley State, and recognizing the significant importance that they play in research and development. As a senior member of the Financial Services Committee, he helped create the Mortgage Assistance Program, Mortgage Program, the Neighborhood Stabilization Program, the Making Home Affordable Program. And he's also authored several bills regarding insurance. As a member of the NATO Parliament Assembly, he provided strong leadership in passing a resolution at the 2012 NATO meeting, gaining support of 27 other nations to join the United States and Israel to stop Iran from securing a nuclear bomb. And then in Georgia, and I can attest to this, he sponsors annual job fairs that have secured over 7,000 jobs for his constituents. And I've been to his job fairs, and you will be amazed at the number of people that show up for his job fairs, show up for his health fairs, show up for all the things he's done. So he's revolutionized these events where people come out and they can get the help that they need. And so I'm thankful today he's joined with his lovely wife, Elfrida. He's joined here today with his lovely wife, as well as the representatives who will be representing the federal agencies. And I tell you what, he is not just a politician. He is a man who loves people. He loves to take care of people, and he wants the best for everybody. So let's give him a warm welcome for being here today.
Roger. Is it on?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Excuse my cold. I want to thank you so very much. And let's give the CEO another hand, won't we? Keith Horton is doing a magnificent job. He has really put a ton of work into this Christian Center. And you know, I've represented this area for 21 years, and I'm so grateful that I have the kind of staff where we've worked together. And over those years, we have, with the Lord's help, been able to bring $17 million into this center. Give us a good hand for that. And all of those great things that he said could not have happened without having a woman by my side. Elfrida, stand up. She's been my rock of Gibraltar. And I got such a great staff, and my district director is going to introduce all of them to you. We're here to take care of some business. And you know, how this came about was sort of the same way that my job fairs and my health fairs and the work I've done with veterans have done. And it's best captured in the words of the 40th Psalm. I waited patiently on the Lord, and he heard my cry. He lifted me up out of a horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and he set my foot upon a rock, and he established my goings, and he put a new song in my mouth. Them that's got shall get, and them that's not shall lose, 'cause the Bible says, and it still is news. Your mama may have and your papa may have, but God bless the child that's got his own. And that's why we're here, to make sure we got our own. And I wondered, what did God mean? What did David mean when he said, God bless the child that's got his own? And then I found out through David's son, Solomon. And all you got to do is read the Proverbs where it says, get knowledge, get understanding, and get wisdom. The principal thing is wisdom. It is more precious than all the silver and gold. And that's why we are here today. These wonderful people from our governmental agencies who can bring that knowledge, who can bring that information, and we can take it, get understanding, and apply our wisdom to improve our health. Those who are veterans will be able to get help here. And I want you all to ask questions, because the one thing that Solomon pointed out was this. The principal thing, he said, is wisdom. But when you get it, as you're getting it, get understanding. Those two things I want you to do today. This is one of the first we're doing. Just like I did the jobs fairs, just like we're doing the health fairs, we're going to take this message in every county I represent where we have seniors, because we can live longer lives. We can live better lives. And that's what they meant when they said, those who have the needs will be answered by the Lord. And that's why we're here, because the Lord directed us here this morning. But to get that wisdom, you have to ask for it. Ask your questions. Don't hesitate. And you will leave here in greater health because you will have the wisdom. And so I want to just thank you. This has been a blessing already for me, and I'm sure my wife and all of us here. So we want to hear from you, and God bless you. Thank you. And I think now we will have the introduction of my staff. Is that correct? And let's give Dylan a hand. He is Dylan Nurse, my hard-working district director. Go ahead, Dylan.
So after everyone spoke, you'll have the opportunity to discuss with each of these individuals on the panel, but also with our staff to be able to assist you. Sheila Davis in the back will be helping with DPAP and Medicaid and Medicare.
Raise your hand, Sheila. See?
We've got Sherry Small, who's going to be helping with IRS issues. We also have Caskey Dyer. He's going to be helping with Social Security issues. And then Darrell Haynes, who's going to be helping with VA issues. So we'll be standing next to the various agencies and departments that will already be up here to see what we can do to help you out following through past this event. So as the congressman likes to say, we don't let go of your hand, and we'll be here to help you. Thank you, sir.
All right, and thank you. And now we're getting right down to it, and I want to make sure that we now recognize those that have come. You know, I opened this out talking about information and knowledge and understanding and wisdom, because that's what the message is that I wanted to bring to you from God Almighty. He's had a hand in this. And so I want to introduce to you those that are here and tell you who they are, and so you will know how to direct your questions. First of all, we have Miss Emma McCullough, who is Director of Government Affairs for the Georgia Department of Human Affairs. Is here. Is she? There she. Raise your hand high. There we go. And we have next Miss Emily Hatchard, who is with the DFACS and Medicaid. And she is here. Is that right? Is she here? Oh, you raise your hand. All right. And next we have Miss Alicia Lipscomb. And there you go. And she is with Social Security and Public Affairs Specialist in the Georgia Area District Office. She covers all of Georgia on Social Security. And next we have Mr. James Watson with the Department of Veterans Affairs Administration, and he is the regional compensation and claims. That means money, folks. I know a lot of questions are going to go to him and needs to go to him, to all of them. And next we have Miss Angela Williams with the Department of Veterans Affairs with the Medical Center here in Atlanta. And here she, raise your hand high. That's good. And next we have Mr. Wesley Cooper, who is the supervisor and special agent in the Office of Internal Revenue Services and the Taxpayer Advocate's Office of Georgia. Raise your hand. He's down on that end. And let's give them, I think I've completed the task on that. I don't see anyone else. I was looking at him, but he's here for another reason. All right. So let's give our folks a hand, won't you? And let's get this wisdom going. That's what the Lord wants us to do in here this morning. That's why he's put this together, so we can get that knowledge and get that understanding and get that wisdom. Like I said, it's more precious than gold and silver. Solomon said that, the wisest man in the world. And now it's up to you to get this information, all right? So let us start with, who's first?
Yes, so good morning, everyone. My name is Emma McCullough, and I am the Director of Governmental Affairs at the Georgia Department of Human Services. And with me here today, we have Emily Hatchett, who serves on the Governmental Affairs team with me. So first off, we just want to thank you all for being here today, and we also want to give a big thank you to Congressman Scott and his wonderful staff for organizing this and for giving us the opportunity this morning to provide you all with information on the Medicaid redetermination process that's happening right now. So today, Emily and I are going to give a high-level overview on the Medicaid redetermination process and what you and your loved ones can do to make this process as seamless as possible. Also, if you have not picked up one already, we have several handouts on the table outside that look like this, and a couple of others that will help you follow along with the information that we present today. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and pass it along to Emily to give us an overview on Medicaid redetermination.
Thank you, Emma, and thank you again to Congressman Scott and his staff for having us here. So just to give everyone a little background in case you aren't familiar, during the pandemic, the federal government asked all states to pause Medicaid eligibility annual reviews to ensure that individuals who are on Medicaid continued to receive their health benefits during the pandemic. So since the public health emergency is now over, all states will have to look at everyone who is currently receiving Medicaid to determine if they still qualify. So starting in April, Georgia returned to our annual review to check eligibility for both Medicaid and Peach Care for Kids members, just like we did prior to the pandemic. So this means that the Division of Family and Children Services, or DFACS, will be checking to see if all current Medicaid and Peach Care for Kids members are still eligible to continue receiving these health care benefits. So what should members be expecting. So everyone will not go through this redetermination process at the same time. The process is happening now, but it will likely take until May 2024 for every case to be reviewed. So once your case is reviewed, if the state finds that a member is still eligible for Medicaid, then their coverage will be renewed for the next year, just like it was prior to the pandemic. However, if a member is no longer eligible for Medicaid or is aged out of Peach Care for Kids, their DHS will refer to members to the Federal Facilitated Marketplace for alternate coverage options. So in preparation for the eligibility review, the most important thing that we are trying to get the message out is that members need to make sure that their contact information is correct. And so there are several ways that you can do this. And all of this information is, like Emma said, they're on some resource sheets that are outside in the lobby. We have the nice, pretty one with our little peach, but there's also just a general handout with lots of links and phone numbers and all of the local DFACS offices information that will be extremely helpful if you are going through the Medicaid redetermination process. So, like I said, there are a few ways, 3 actually, for you to update your information. The first is through Gateway. So Gateway is our online portal, and there's also a mobile app if you would like to go about it that way. So this is the fastest way for members to update their information and get updates on their Medicaid status. So you can visit gateway.ga.gov to get more information and access to that portal. The second option is in person. So that would be in those DFACS offices that I mentioned, which you can find the locations either online at dfcs.ga.gov, or the information is also on those handouts that are in the lobby. And the final option is by phone. So members can update their information at 1-877-423-4746. And I'll repeat that one more time just in case anybody's writing it down. 1-877-423-4746. And if members are deaf or hard of hearing or have any trouble with speech, you can dial 711 for additional assistance. And so through the redetermination process, what is going to happen? So some of our members might remember going through redetermination before the pandemic, and we've worked very hard to make sure it's very similar as it was before then. If a member is also receiving SNAP or TANF, DHS is hoping to make things as simple as possible by linking benefit renewal dates. So you won't have to complete redeterminations across programs. It'll all happen at one time without additional requests. So members should be able to see their assigned redetermination date now in Gateway, and should be on the lookout for a letter or email for additional instructions. So an official letter or email, depending on how a member has chosen to receive their notifications, will be sent about 45 days before a member's coverage is scheduled to end. So the letter will explain that a member's redetermination process has begun and will advise if the member needs to submit any more documentation or other materials to complete their renewal. So if DFACS has not heard from a member or received their documentation after a month, you'll receive a follow-up letter or email, and it's usually sent about 2 weeks before the deadline. So you definitely want to make sure you are looking out for that. And it is important to keep in mind during this that there is processing time involved. So it may take DHS up to 30 days to fully process the renewal once they receive your documentation, excuse me. And as a reminder, these eligibility reviews are taking place through May 2024. So a member's redetermination date can be any time during this 14-month period, but each member's specific date can be found online in the Gateway portal. And members should make sure they're checking accounts regularly to be able to participate when their redetermination period begins. So I know there's lots of dates being thrown out, like it's a complicated process, but what happens if a member accidentally misses the deadline? So if a coverage renewal is denied, then members will receive a letter telling them that and giving them the reason why. So if that reason is that they failed to submit documents, there's good news. Members can still resubmit documents within 90 days of their redetermination date. And if a member has been denied for another reason, they have the option to appeal that. So it's important to note that in either situation, if a member is made, or if a member's benefits are renewed, their coverage will be made active back to the date of their original determination. So any medical expenses that have incurred during this period will be covered. And now, I'll pass it back to Emma so she can give you a little process on the appeal process.
Thanks, Emily. So members whose coverage is denied for any other reason than missing the deadline to submit documentation have 30 days from the denial letter date to ask for a fair hearing to appeal that decision, or in other words, to request another review of their case. So to request a fair hearing, members should fill out and submit the fair hearing request that is at the end of their denial letter. And then they would send that back into your local DFACS office. And so if a member does want to continue coverage while they wait for their fair hearing decision, they can do that. But members would need to check the I want to continue receiving benefits box that is also on the form, and then submit that form within 14 days of denial. So it's important to know that if a member does choose to continue receiving benefits while they wait for their fair hearing decision and are ultimately denied again, that member may be required to reimburse the agency for any benefit paid since the initial denial. So the Office of State Administrative Hearings in Georgia handles reviews of these cases. So members can learn more about that office at osa.ga.gov. Once again, those links are all on the resource handout that is outside. So when a member's hearing is scheduled, the member will receive a notice in the mail with the time and location of their hearing. And during the hearing, members will be able to share why they think that they're still eligible for Medicaid and or Peach Care for Kids. And to support their eligibility claim, members can show documents like receipts and bills that may help better explain their income status. And there are other important tips on how a member can prepare for one of those hearings at OSA. So that would be osa.ga.gov/what-to-expect at an OSA hearing. And so if ultimately OSA does reinstate the benefit, the coverage will be made retroactive back to the date of the original redetermination, so that members can receive assistance for any qualifying medical expense that they did have in the meantime or that they incurred since that initial denial. And so now we're going to discuss the use of authorized representatives during this process. So because we keep member information private, anyone who helps a Medicaid member, like a trusted family member or a friend or a provider, must be added as an authorized representative to the member's case. And so if a member has an authorized representative, then we know that that individual has the member's permission to receive information and to assist that member in their redetermination process. So it is important to note that if someone has a power of attorney for a member, that person will still need to go through the separate process of being added as an authorized representative. It's not done automatically. And so here's how members can add an authorized representative to their case. First, you would go onto your online Gateway account, and you would either click on the option Renew or Report My Changes, and then click on Add an Authorized Representative. And then you would add information on your authorized representative. And then at that point, you would have your authorized representative make their own separate gateway account. And so within the create an account screen, the authorized representative would check yes to the option, are you an authorized representative? And then the authorized representative's account should then be linked to the member's gateway account. And that process only needs to be completed once. So I know that Emily and I have kind of thrown a lot of information at you all. Once again, I'm going to remind you that we have information and resource sheets outside that have all of the information that we talked about, as well as the phone numbers and links that we shared. But before we turn the microphone over, I want to go over just some last things that we want members to know about this process. So once again, the federal government is now asking Georgia, along with every other state, to check who is eligible to receive Medicaid or Peach Care for Kids coverage. And so that's why we are restarting our yearly process of determining eligibility for Medicaid and Peach Care for Kids. So if members have gone through this process before, it's very similar to the process that we had before the pandemic. So not everyone will go through this process at the same time. Like Emily said, it started back in April and will likely take until May of 2024. And during this time, we're reviewing eligibility of members in batches. So one of the most important things that members can do during this time is go onto their gateway account or contact their local DFACS office or call in the number that Emily shared earlier to make sure that their contact information is updated. You can also, in those options, update your preference of communication. So whether that's email, mail, or both, to make sure that we can reach you guys during this process to let you know what we need from you all. So if a member is also a SNAP or TANF customer, DHS has worked to make things simple for them. When possible, we have linked benefit renewal dates together so that you don't have to go through those renewal processes multiple times. So like I said, please check out the resource sheets that we have, and that really concludes our portion of the panel. And we're happy to take questions during our Q&A. Thanks, guys.
And thank you. Let's give them a hand, won't we? Like I said, knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. That is the Lord's direction here this morning. And you see why. There are a lot of changes are happening. A lot, and especially in the Medicaid area and DFACS area. So thank you for that thorough and very valuable information. Thank you very much. And yeah, let's give them another hand. And now we move to Social Security, another very, very topical area for us to get a lot of knowledge and wisdom on. And so to bring us this message, we are delighted to have Miss Alicia Lipscomb for Social Security. She's with the Social Security Administration. She handles public affairs, and she's a specialist for the Georgia Area's Director's Office. Right, good, in-depth information on Social Security. Ms. Lipscomb, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Congressman Scott. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm known as that Social Security lady everywhere I go, right? Again, my name is Alicia Lipscomb. I'm a public affairs specialist with the Social Security Administration. And today I'm just going to talk about a couple topics that are of interest to you guys in the room. As you know, in 2023, there was a cost of living adjustment, also known as the raise, as like everybody loves to call it, of 8.7%. Remember, that was a result of inflation. Remember, I talk about what a dozen of eggs cost last year versus this year? That's a simple way of explaining it. And how they base the cost of living adjustment is based on inflation in the third quarter of the calendar year, is how they determine that for the next year. So right now, we're still in August, correct? So that is why after August finishes, there is a small government agency called the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They're the ones who are going to run all the numbers. And that's why the announcement usually comes out in the end of October, beginning of November. The public finds out the same time we find out, literally. We get the internal email and the external email goes out to the public. So just to let you know, I do not have a magic ball. I cannot tell you what it's going to be for 2024. Right now, there's a lot of information online in the news speculating things, but just be aware, wait till the official announcement comes from the Social Security Administration tying that. I really do want to implore you to, like they say, hear it straight from the horse's mouth. Please hear it directly from us, because unfortunately, this is a prime option for scammers to take advantage of you with the cost of living adjustment. We want you to be very aware of that. When it happened last year, when we made the announcement, I often heard from my seniors that they were approached by individuals saying, I can get you more. Give me your Social Security number. Or can I have your bank information to make sure you got your cost of living adjustment? You'll be surprised how many people did divulge that information. We often think that we wouldn't do it, but sometimes in those moments, we all may lack some judgment. So we want you to be aware of that. I really do want to stress that as we go forth into the announcement occurring. When the announcement occurs, you will get a notice in the mail. You should receive it no later than the first week in December. The letter will be either sent to you by mail, or if you have created an online account called a My Social Security account, which you can create at www.ssa.gov, you can ask for all your notices to be sent to you electronically. You may be spending winter with your grandbabies, having a good time down in Florida. In your mail, you don't want anything sent to your home. You can have it select an option to have everything go online, where you can opt out of physical notices. Also, on our notices, we do not contain any Social Security numbers on your notices now. Just want to let you know, we removed that a couple years ago, but just be mindful of it. And to ensure that you get your notice, make sure your mailing address is up to date with us at Social Security. We had a lot of people move from other parts of the country to Georgia during the pandemic, or also move locations during the pandemic. And people often fail to update their mailing address with us, because you're usually getting your money by direct deposit, right? So as long as your money's coming in, things are good, right? That's how I am too sometimes. I'm notorious. We all do it. We're human, right? So make sure you keep your mailing address up to date with us at Social Security. You can do that either by calling us on our national toll-free number, or we answer phones from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, excluding federal holidays. That sounds like a commercial on TV, right? But we have to do that. Also, you can do it through your online account with the My Social Security account. That's why we can check easily to see if your information is up to date. Also in the online account, you can also print out your proof of income letter, also known as an award notice. That's the second most requested item from us at Social Security. You may not feel comfortable with it, but maybe you have a family member who can assist you in creating this online account. Often I encounter seniors when I visit senior centers like, Miss Alicia, I don't know if I want to do that online account. But then I'm seeing them look at TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook. If you can do that, I think you can do an online account, right? So I'm going to implore you to take advantage of that and tell yourself, I can do this. Because as we know from the pandemic, were we able to go out and about? Your health and your safety was our greatest concern. So by having that online account, you're able to transact business with us. But if you're the type of person that does not feel comfortable with it, we always offer you the option of giving us a call. Give us a call. Please call us first before visiting an office, because 90% of business can be done over the phone with us at Social Security. I just want to really, really emphasize that part. Also, the number one most requested item from Social Security. I've lost my Social Security card. I need a new one, right? Where do you think you can do that now? Online, everybody. In the state of Georgia, we've been doing it since February of 2018, everybody. If you're age 18 and older, a U.S. citizen, no legal name change. Your name matches exactly what we have. You haven't gotten married, divorced, or went to the courts and changed your name. You have an unexpired state-issued driver's license or ID card. You can go through the online account. You can do that till 2 a.m. every day, right? Our offices are only open from 9 to 4. You're busy. You got better things to do than visit Social Security, right? So please go online, do that, especially your younger family members. Starting their first job, joining the military. They need their Social Security cards. So make sure you go on, encourage them, go online. They're like, what are you talking about going online? You're giving them good advice, wisdom, right? We want to pass it on to let them know they don't have to physically visit an office. I'm going to use that word wisdom all day now. Congressman Scott inspired me today. So going back to the COLA, that's another way you can protect your information. You can see what's going on with your benefits. Anytime we change your benefit amount up or down, you change your address or how you receive your funds with your direct deposit, we are required by law to send you a letter. But another way you can make sure everything is okay is to log into your online account. You can see up to 2 years of past benefit history. Okay, I really want to do that, especially for those who are caregivers. That's something you can assist your loved ones with, making sure that, no, things are okay. Because they may have gotten a phone call that scared them that said, well, they pretended to be a Social Security representative, and they stated that we have suspended your number. You owe us money, so we're going to stop payments. Or your grandchild is in jail in another state and we need money to get them out. Remember, be mindful of that. And also, one scam I've heard about lately is that they want you to say the word yes. Have you heard about that? Be very mindful of that. Actually, my coworker, my other public affairs specialist, her mother got a call yesterday from somebody pretending to be from Social Security. And she always goes, and what is this about? And just kept asking that question over and over again, and thankfully the person hung up because they got frustrated. Make them frustrated, right? So just be aware, you have to be vigilant, be smart. Do not put your Social Security card in your purse or wallet. Remember, it is not a form of identification. It is just a number for tax purposes and other purposes for benefits and programs and services. So we really do want to emphasize that part there. So one thing I want to talk about also, right now, a lot of us are able to handle our finances. We're cognitive, right? We can take care of our business. But there could be a point later down the line where you are unable to communicate. We have all maybe experienced that personally or through others, that we've seen the experience where people start to undergo cognitive decline, Alzheimer's, dementia, or maybe are unable to communicate. So we at Social Security, I do want to stress, we do not acknowledge power of attorney, because we cannot validate whether this is a true power of attorney that's active. So as of now, while you're of sound mind and you can make decisions regarding yourself, you have the option of what is called advanced designation. Advanced designation, where you let us know up to 3 people. It is not legally binding. You may like Bobby Joe today, tomorrow you don't like Bobby Joe. You can take Bobby Joe off. You can call us up and give up to 3 people with their name and phone number. So if there's ever a point where you are unable to communicate with us, we can reach out to them to see if they're willing to file to be what is called your representative payee. That's the term we use at Social Security. They represent you to us. They will receive the benefits on your behalf, and they will use those funds for your food and shelter and medical needs. Okay, that was what a representative payee is. So we just want to let you know you can change that anytime. You can elect up to 3 people. And if you do elect to put people as an advanced designee on your records, every year you'll be sent a letter asking you, do you still want these 3 people? Okay? So we do a checkup. You may forget it. You're like, I don't ever want to see that person again. But that letter is going to remind you, oh, let me get that person off. Or you can add. Remember, it is not legally binding at all. We do want to stress that, especially we encounter these situations when somebody needs to be placed in assisted living or a nursing home situation, a critical time period, right? If the person cannot validate who they are, when we ask questions to verify their identity, we cannot release any information because of privacy. And all our agencies up here are very strict with our privacy rules. So by having that advanced designation, that'll help us go, okay, let's contact this person to see if they're willing to file to be the representative payee, because that person may not be able to communicate who can assist them. So I do want to stress you, please take advantage of that. I think that has been very helpful and brings some measure of comfort to know that in the future, there's a way that we can assist you regarding your benefits and your services. As you may start experiencing too also, we're getting near fall. And during this time, it is Medicare Part C open enrollment. I want to explain to you what Social Security does with Medicare and what Medicare does, okay? We at Social Security are responsible for subtracting your monthly premiums directly out of your monthly benefits. We handle Medicare Part A and Part B enrollment. If you've got a red, white, and blue card, you have Medicare, C-A-R-E. Medicaid is administered by each state, and each state has different rules. A simple way I explain it to people is Medicare is printed on cardstock and paper, and the Medicaid cards are usually plastic, right? So that's a good way of deciphering the two, because people often get the two confused. My mother does it all the time. I'm like, Mom, you're on Medicare. No, I'm on Medicaid. I'm like, no, Medicare. And she tells me I don't know what I'm talking about. I go, yes, ma'am. And I move on, okay? I know not to argue, right? You know better than that. So I've got a great handout about who do I contact, Social Security or Medicare. As you know, open enrollment will occur for those Part C plans, where they're going to be vying for your business. In the state of Georgia, they're mandated by law to have an agency called the State Health Insurance Program, also known as SHIP, S-H-I-P. They used to be known as Georgia Cares. Some of you may have been familiar with them. But they're under the Division of Aging Services. They're the only agency we at Social Security can refer members of the public to receive assistance in selecting a Medicare Part C, which is a supplemental or Medicare Advantage plan, and Part D, a drug plan. They offer free, unbiased information, everybody. Their goal is not to sell you anything, and they will do a checkup on your plan to see if it's going to meet your needs in 2024. And they're under the Division of Aging Services there. We encourage you to contact them. They are wonderful individuals, and they will do their best to meet your needs. Give your top 3 options. If you're happy, you're happy. If not, you can change it for the next year. So we do encourage you to reach out to them. But as I always want to remind you, we are available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. The office that services this area, it's based on your zip code, everybody, not your county or state at Social Security, is the office off of Camp Creek. I tell people behind the racetrack or the Walgreens is the easiest way to remember it on that road. And they'll be glad to assist you. But again, please give us a call before you make that trek to the office, because we can most likely service you and take care of your needs. And I will be available afterwards if anybody needs a Social Security card. You lost one, I'll take care of it for today. Or if you need a proof of income letter or an award notice, I'll be glad to take care of that for you today also too. But again, thank you guys so much for your time, and I look forward to speaking to you at a later point today. Thank you guys.
Let's give her a hand, won't you? Very valuable information. Yes, indeed. You're getting us where we can use our wisdom and put our understanding to work. Thank you, Miss. Let's give her another hand, won't you? I mean, it's deep. And now we turn to our veterans. And I believe we have veterans in here, but many of you have relatives who are veterans. And as some of you may know, veterans are so important, and I have made them a priority in my political career, as some of you may know. And so it's with great pleasure that I introduce Mr. James Watson with the Department of Veterans Administration, Regional Office, and he's also a specialist with compensation claims. As I said, it's the money. And you know the saying, follow the money, honey. It's all in your hands.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Congressman, and thank you for inviting me to this event. I'd like to say thank you to the veterans, service members, and their families for the dedication to this nation. My name is James Watson. I'm with the Veteran Benefits Administration. What we have right now going on is the PACT Act that was passed in August of 2022. What this is for those veterans who have served in Southwest Asia, Gulf War, Vietnam, the Republic of Vietnam, Thailand, Laos, and Cambodia. We have now passed a law that has a presumptive list of conditions such as hypertension, hypertension, the cancers, it's all of the cancers, multiple myeloma, COPD, and a list of other presumptive conditions. Some of the key components in this act is improving the decision making and medical conditions. Now, the difference between for the presumptive conditions and a regular claim that you would file for, generally if you file for a claim, you need to prove that it occurred in the Military, so basically if you file for a claim, we'll go in and look at your medical records while you were on active duty and basically find any diagnosis, any complaints or history of that, and therefore generally we'll send you to an exam. Well, with the presumptive conditions, what we're verifying is just that you served over in that area, and generally we'll send you to an exam just by that, as opposed of finding documentation in your medical records. So once you get to the exam, the doctor gives you his examination and his write-up, and he sends it back to the VA. We then will do the rest of the development, and then goes to the rating decision. Now, many people, some of the questions that I do get is, what if I was denied previously for this claim and I get granted now? Will they go back to the time that I first put it in? Well, if it's under the presumptive condition, the earliest they can go back right now is August of 2022, and yesterday was the deadline, but it's now been extended to August 14th of 2023. So if you have or plan on filing a claim, or even if you're not sure, the least you should do is put in an intent to file. Now, it's a lot of information to go through this process, so what I encourage all of my veterans and service members, family members to do when filing a claim is get with a service organization, which they have many of them that's online, and they are free. So if you get charged or so from an organization, these organizations are free. So, and if you have recently been denied a claim, what we have to do is we'll put it on a specific form, which is a 0995 form. If it so happens to get put on the incorrect form, we inform you through correspondence to say, hey, let's put it on the correct form, and then we'll continue. Now, how can you file a claim? Well, my suggestion is at va.gov. However, some of us, if we're not computer savvy, so you can come in the office. We also take walk-ins and scheduled appointments. And so if you go on to va.gov, you have an application that you can submit there, and usually the average claim takes around 90 days or so, depending on if it's your first time or not. Usually the first time filing a claim is the longest, because we have to get the branches, your medical record from the branch that you participated in. And if you have any additional evidence, also you're able to submit that online as well. But being that it is, a lot of information, you're encouraged to come by the office and receive the help that you can get from submitting a claim. Now, so if you're submitting a claim before August 14th of 2023, we'll be able to retro back of August 2022. A lot of misinformation is out there stating that there's a deadline where the PACTA could be over. It's not over. It's just the deadline to be able to retro back within a year. Another condition that they're encouraging is that if you were in Camp Lejeune exposed to the toxic exposure water, and you can put in a claim for that, and that's also under the PACT Act. Excuse me. Now, in regards to filing a claim that you were denied previously, let's say years ago, can you do it? Well, we can always go back if there's what we call a clear and unmistakable error. So if that can be, and there's no expiration date on that. But usually when you're denied a claim, you have rights to appeal that claim, as well as taking it to the Board of Veterans Administration to have a hearing on that as well. Also, we have a lot of scams going on, stating they're with the VA or so. So if you're unsure, you're encouraged to just contact the VA, come in, and we will get all of your questions asked. And just if you were denied on a previous claim, don't let that be the last. Let one of the service organizations help you and go along with this process. It is a lengthy process. However, we are dedicated to get your entitlement and your benefits met. And again, you can apply for a toxic exposure screening with the hospital, and a lot of people think once they've done that, they filed a claim for compensation. That's not compensation, that's on the hospital side. We're with the VBA, so we want to give you your money. We want to give you every dime that is deserved to you, okay? And for the Camp Lejeune, if you served from August of 1953 till December 31st of 1987 and you were exposed to the condition, you are encouraged to file a claim. Now, a lot of our Vietnam veterans, they'll come in and they'll say, hey, I want to file a claim for Agent Orange. Well, Agent Orange is the substance that you were exposed to. You need to file for what condition has came about from that being exposed to Agent Orange, as well as Camp Lejeune. I also encourage you to, being that it's a lengthy process, you know, even when you go home today, you're going to reflect on the day, write these questions down. Don't let this be the one sitting where you get all your questions answered. More is going to come up, and these are your benefits, and we want to get you what's owed to you, as well as you know, our duty. So anyways, I also have the pamphlets that are back there on the table for any and I encourage you to read it in its entirety. And just to piggyback on when someone is being denied a claim, doesn't mean it's the end of all end. What we want to do is we want to find out why you were denied. If we can correct it, let's do so, and then resubmit it. Because you have up to a year to resubmit the claim, and if we had denied you and then we turn around, it's granted, then we will go back to the date we denied you if it's been less than a year. So again, you're encouraged to at least put an intent to file in if you are unsure, if you served in the Vietnam, the Gulf War, Southwest Asia, Republic of Vietnam, and Laos, just to name a few. And again, my name is James Watson, and I'll be in to take questions from you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give him a hand, won't we? And our veterans have done so much for us, and people don't realize the challenges that our veterans are going through. And that's why one of the reasons we have two individuals here to talk about the needs of our veterans. As he just said, Mr. Watson just said, he in essence said they handled the money situation. And now we turn to Miss Angela Williams, and she's with the Department of Veterans Affairs, but she is with the medical area, and she's with the medical center here in Atlanta. And now let's welcome her. Won't we with that? Yeah, it should be.
Can you guys hear me? Okay. Thank you, Congressman Scott, for allowing us to be here to give some information. I was going to talk a little bit about the PAC Act. Lauren Rushin is the coordinator for the PAC Act at the Atlanta VA Medical Center. She couldn't be here today, but one of her staff is here, Ms. Kamari Stanley. She's right here. She can answer any questions.
Stand? Let her stand, please.
Yes, she's one of the social workers in the program. Mr. Watson have given a very thorough overview of the PAC Act, more than what I could have provided. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Caregiver Support Program. That's the program that I manage at the Atlanta VA Medical Center. We have two programs under the Caregiver Program. One is the Program of General Caregiver Support, and we provide supportive services to the caregiver. That is by way of national and local support groups. We do peer mentoring. We do outreach events to give information about being a caregiver and how to better take care of yourself so that you can take care of the veteran. So that program does not require any type of application. All you have to do is yourself or the veteran who's enrolled at the Atlanta VA can contact us by phone to let us know that you're interested in the program, or the veteran can go through their primary care team, their PAC team, and they will send a referral to us, and one of my staff will give you a call, and we will go over the general program with you to let you know what services are available. We also have the program of comprehensive assistance for caregivers, and that's the money. That's the paid stipend program. That program does require an application, and those applications can be obtained online through www.caregiver.va.gov, and it's called the 1010CG, just like caregiver. You can apply online, or you can print the application and mail it to the address that's on the application, or we can mail you an application. That process takes about 90 to 120 days to process the application. That entails intake assessment. You will have several phone interviews and a video interview with the caregiver and the veteran. All of that information is collected and is sent to a central eligibility assessment team, what we refer to as the SEAT team, that's at the VISN office. And that team consists of doctors, social workers, psychologists, nurse, occupational therapists, and they will review the information that have been obtained from the assessments. They will review all medical records. And if you have any outside medical records where you've been seeing an outside physician that you want those records to be reviewed, then you'll have to send those records to us, and we will get them to the SEAT team. They will review all of that information and make a decision as to whether the caregiver is eligible to receive a stipend payment to take care of the veteran. So if you have any questions about the caregiver program, please feel free to ask me. I'll be here for a minute. And currently we have about 335 caregivers enrolled in our general caregiver program, where we offer the supportive services, and we have about 1,200 plus caregivers receiving a stipend to take care of eligible veterans. So this is a great program. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me any questions that you have about the program.
And thank you. Let's give her a hand, won't we? And as some of you may know, I'm chairman of the House Agriculture Committee, now ranking member of the House Agriculture Committee. And the other thing is this about our veterans that I am doing all I can to bring attention to. Our veterans now are living in food insecure areas and food insecure homes at a rate that is 7.4% higher than the national average. So I want you to know also that if you know a veteran who needs food, call my office, because I have a team working there. And as now I'm on the Ag Committee that handles food, there's only one thing we cannot do without, and that's food. And that's why the agriculture industry is our single most important one, and it's under tremendous threats. And so it is a shame that the largest group of our fellow Americans are living in food insecure areas are the ones who have put their lives on the line for us. So call me if you know a veteran that needs food. Call my office. Thank you. And now let us continue. We now have Mr. Wesley Cooper, who is with the IRS and the Taxpayers Advocate Office of Georgia. Let's welcome Mr. Cooper. Thank you.
Good morning. I too would like to thank Congressman David Scott for inviting our office to be a part of this wonderful event. If you see my name sign, is actually Eric Evans, that for those that like in front of the room, and just below it you would see Internal Revenue Service, but we're the good guys. Because when we say Internal Revenue Service, you guys cringe. Now, we're a part of the Taxpayer Advocate Service. A part of the Taxpayer Advocate Service, we are an independent organization within the Internal Revenue Service. Our job is to be advocates for the taxpayer. What does that mean? That means that if you have a case that comes into our office, an advocate will be assigned to your case. That person will contact you. That person would stay with you until your matter is resolved. We become your voice. You don't talk to the IRS. We talk on your behalf. We resolve your issues, and we stay with you until that case is resolved. We have wonderful relationships with the Congressman, congressional staff that are here, that we help go in and resolve those cases. So that's very, 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 very important. And so why are we here today? There is an estimate that the number of Americans over age 65 will increase to about 95 million in the year of 2060. So there's going to be an increased number of seniors. So it's very important that we are here today. We do recognize that our seniors have very unique needs when it comes to trying to contact the Internal Revenue Service. Once again, we're the Taxpayers Advocate Service. We're here to help you with problems that you have with the Internal Revenue Service. As the IRS drives customers to online and automated services, which is very great, senior citizens have a difficulty trying to contact the IRS and getting a live person on the phone. We understand that that creates a dilemma, that creates a problem. So that's when our office comes into play. Our leader, which is Erin Collins, known as the National Taxpayer Advocate, she reports to Congress. One of the most serious problems and one of the number one and number two problem within the last 5 years has been customer service challenges. You cannot get somebody over the phone. We are aware of that. That creates a problem. More likely, our second current issue is the processing of tax returns, especially tax returns that were sent in by how? By mail. A lot of those returns are still there. The IRS have made tremendous strides in trying to get those returns processed. However, there are still a great number of those returns that cannot and have not been processed. So how can we help you? You can contact our office, or you can go through the congressional office and you can get a case assigned. Once again, there's going to be a person that will be assigned as your case advocate that will work with you throughout this process. The only thing that we ask that you do is that you maintain a copy of your tax return. In order to help you to resolve that issue, we're going to need a completed signed copy of your tax return. Once we get a completed signed copy of your tax return, we can now get that tax return processed, and as you probably heard on the news or you read in the newspaper, that return is still sitting in the trailer. So that's when we come in. We can actually get that return processed. Also, one of the major issues that we've noticed, especially when it comes to our senior citizens, is there's a major problem with identity theft. A major problem with identity theft. And what happens is identity theft is actually a complex issue. Why is it complex? Because it affects two accounts. It affects the good person's account, which is more than likely yourself, and it affects the fraudulent account. And so basically what we have to do, and IRS has made tremendous strides in getting these processed, we have to get your account corrected. We have to make you whole, the good person. So we have to resolve the invalid account, which is the fraudulent account, and then we have to turn around and resolve your account so that your account is not affected. And so that takes a great deal of processing. Also, here are some awareness tips that I would like to pass along, especially for our seniors. Awareness tips. IRS, repeat, do not make phone calls. The IRS will not call you by phone and tell you about a notice or a bill that you owe. Because if there's a balance due on your account, or even if there's a processing issue, the IRS is going to send you a notice. And the notice would tell you why you owe the balance, and the notice will detail as what's needed in order to resolve the processing issue. The IRS will not call you and ask for your social security number over the phone. Why? Because if we have your account, we already have your social security number. And this is a scheme that is affecting millions and a lot of senior citizens. If you get someone on the phone and they tell you they're from the IRS and they're asking you for your social security number, you have my permission to hang up and politely hang up right away, because we don't want to give that information away. Again, the IRS do not come to your door and knock on your door asking for a payment. Again, that's another scheme that's going around and affecting our seniors. Once again, if there's a balance due issue, you're going to get a notice. You're going to know beforehand why you will owe this balance. On the notice, there are clearly ways that you can submit your payment. You can submit your payment online. You can go the old-fashioned way. You can send it in by mail. But never will a person come and knock on your door and ask for money. Again, you have my permission to not even answer the door, and you have my permission to close the door. So these are some things that we want to make sure that that the seniors are aware of. Through our congressional offices, a lot of people come in with hardships, whether you're a senior or not. And you believe it or not, a lot of people are depending on that refund to make ends meet. And sometimes you have to walk a mile in a person's shoes before you understand what they are really going through. And so as advocates, our job is to make sure that we can advocate for you and to properly get your refund. I get many calls a day. Mr. Evans, I'm living in my car. I need this refund because my kids are going to school. They need supplies for school. So our job is to advocate for you and get you that refund. One thing that we're going to do, once an advocate is assigned to your case, the advocate is going to work with you. They are going to give you realistic expectations exactly what we can do for you. You can't call us today and expect your refund tomorrow. That will not happen. But we will work with you as quickly as possible to get through any red tape that you experience with the IRS so that we can help you. So just a real quick spiel that as an independent organization, the Taxpayer Advocate Service understand the challenges that are impacting our seniors, and we are here to provide crucial relief. Our mission is very simple. Our mission is to help taxpayers resolve problems within the IRS and recommend changes that will prevent future problems. So if you have a question, I'll be glad to entertain your question. There is a form, which is a Form 911, that you can go online, or you may call us. If you go online and complete that form, that will get your case into our office. You may call us, and I have a pamphlet there on the outside at the number, which is 1-877-777-4778. A lot of sevens. 1-877-777-4778. That's how you get in contact with us. And as well, you can go through your congressional office, and you can submit a case there as well, and we will be more than happy to help you. Just remember, we are the good guys. We advocate for you. We are your voice before the IRS. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wow. Isn't this wonderful? Let's give our panelists, all of them, a hand. And Keith, is Keith here? And Dylan, I think now we're ready to get the big event going. And so if you could kind of, do you have a mic? We got one right here, Doro. Your first one. Seeking wisdom.
My question is for, well, first of all, thank you, Congressman Scott, for hosting this event. It's greatly appreciated. Second of all, thank you very much for your work on the VA. My father just passed, he was a World War II veteran, and he just passed last November at age 98. And it wasn't up until about 4 or 5 years ago that he used the VA services.
Yes, I did.
And I'm from Kansas City, Missouri originally, and that's where he passed away, and they were fantastic. The VA was fantastic, helping my sisters and I assist my father in his final days. So thank you very much for your hard work. Because I know VA gets a really bad rap, but in Kansas City, it worked for us.
Yes.
My question is for Alicia Lipscomb. I've been on Social Security and Medicare for a couple of years now, and I have a Humana Medicare Advantage, and it's my understanding that they're parting ways with the Piedmont Hospital Group here in South Atlanta, and we're kind of in a hospital medical care desert in this part of your district. And so my question to you is, what are the rules for maybe going back to just regular Medicare and then buying supplemental policies? Because this is probably the second medical group that has kind of fallen out with Piedmont, and we don't have many choices in this area of the district. So what are your suggestions, and is it possible to just go back to straight Medicare and then buy whatever C&D or whatever we need?
That's a very common question we get at Social Security. As I mentioned, there's that group called Georgia SHIP. They're the ones, we at Social Security only do A and B. We're not involved with C and D. So I would contact Georgia SHIP. I'll pull the number up. I'll look it up quickly and give it out. You can call them. Leave your name and phone number. Even if you go to their website, there's a form to request help, and they'll offer free counseling because they'll know what is available for 2024. So if you know that they're leaving the area, that provider, you'll know what else is available, and they can help you whittle things down for you. We do recommend you go through Georgia SHIP because their goal is not to sell you anything. And I mean, I live on the south side too. I've seen the changes even with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. So we know that we're experiencing that. So it's good that you're being proactive because open enrollment is from October 15th through December 7th. I always get the 2 dates. So that's your time where you can switch your plan for the upcoming year. And so I really would encourage you, and actually Georgia SHIP offers free webinars on the weekends. You can sign up for too if you go to their website. And since they got renamed from Georgia Cares, their website's under the Division of Aging Services. It is a super, super long web address, just to warn you. But I'll pull that phone number up. If you want to come on by, I'll give that to you. Also, they visit the senior centers in person also too. I know they go to Clayton County. They're in Clayton. Also, they're on the west side, the big senior center there off of MLK. My mind's blanking out there. They come in person usually once a month, everybody. Fayette County Senior Services, they're also there too. So you can schedule a one-on-one. It's once a month they come. Some people call it Medicare assistance in their senior booklets, but do that if you want that one-on-one, they'll be glad to assist you. You're welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Who else? Is there another? Oh, right here.
Thank you, Representative Scott, for coming. My question is, if we have something that we want you to take care of, if some place that, something we want you to vote for, or what is the best way to get our message to you? Is email or a letter or a telephone call? What's the best way?
The best way would be to do a telephone call to my local office, and Dylan, raise your hand, and we'll make sure, Dylan, you have a card you can give to her, and they'll get that message right up to me.
I'm talking about things that you would vote for and that type of thing.
Sure.
That's what you're talking, okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Give
you.
her that card.
Thank
Dylan.
you.
Thank you.
This question is for Congressman Scott.
Yes.
I noticed you said you did agriculture.
Yes.
I was wondering, are you I mean, I know U.S. representative, but is Louisiana, you can get information?
We certainly can. My direct area is here in Georgia in the 13th Congressional District. But as the ranking member now, or the lead Democrat on the Agriculture Committee, I'll be glad to make sure you get in touch with whoever would be the appropriate person in Louisiana.
Okay, all right. I just needed to know because we have some property down there and
In
we're trying to
Louisiana?
get some loans
What
on
part?
it. I'm sorry?
No, I said what part of Louisiana?
Oh, Clinton, Louisiana.
Okay. Good. Jill, will you get that card to her, please?
Okay.
And if you just contact my office, Dylan, you're aware of the conversation.
Oh, okay. Thank
And
you
we'll
so
follow up with you. Thank you.
God bless everyone here. Thank you so much, Congressman, for being here with us and for all that you do for our community. I'm going to try not to be long-winded, a personal matter that deals with going back to the COVID matter, in which stipends were given or stimulus were given. And I have a disabled son whose information was sent from the IRS to Direct Merchants Express Bank or something like that. Long story short, I've made contact with what I thought was the IRS and with Social Security, and they can't seem to figure out whose responsibility it is to cause that bank to issue those funds to my son. So, and I'm his representative payee, so I'm not sure who to talk to or who would answer this question, but that is my concern. It's been longer than 3 years now. Thank you.
To answer your question, we at Social Security were not involved at all with the stimulus payments, just to let you know. We had those prior stimulus payments years ago, remember the $200, $300? But this latest round due to the pandemic, we at Social Security were not involved at all with the issuing of that. So we were directing people to go back to IRS regarding the payments there, just to let you know.
Okay.
IRS says, though, that once the monies are put into an account,
Yeah.
there's nothing else to be done.
Oh, I see where you're coming from, because they based, if your child is receiving benefits from us, the funds were sent to the bank account that was on our records. I get it now.
So we're getting the runaround, and
Okay.
3 years later, we still have
Okay.
no one, and I don't know if the advocacy of Internal Revenue can help
Yeah.
us, because we just would like
Could you?
justice for someone else.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sherry?
Another question? Anybody else have a question?
Thank all of y'all for coming, and this is for James Watson. My husband was in World War II. He passed in 2008 at 80 years old. And I went down to the VA to see if I was eligible for anything. And at that time, I had the only thing during World War II, those records was destroyed. But I do have his honorable discharge from the reserve. He was in the Navy, and he was in Pearl Harbor and Japan. So anyway, I was wondering how I would go back again. This has been years ago that I went to VA downtown, years ago. How would I go about again seeing if I qualified for anything from the VA for my husband?
Okay, so in this scenario, you can let's say if you do a walk-in at the regional office, we'll have you fill out an application for the benefits, and then we'll go through the motion of seeing if you qualify for anything. And what I always tell veterans, service members, and family members, I know there's a lot of I heard this or this person got qualified. Where's my? You come down, speak with us. We help you file the right form so we can address it formally. So come down to the office, give us a visit, or you can do it over the phone, and we'll get that application for you to see if you're eligible for any benefits.
Thank you. Do I need an appointment if I come downtown on Claremont Road to the VA?
If you have an appointment, then those are priority. If you do a walk-in, then we'll have to fit you where where we can. And since the PAC has passed, it has been crowded. So my suggestion would be make an appointment.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
And would you happen to have a card on you?
Yes, ma'am. And I can give you a card. It's some on the table out there.
Come up and get the card.
And I'll give you the cards as well.
Yeah, Gary, take his card. That way.
Congressman Scott, right here. Right here.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
Listen, I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you. A couple of years ago, you reached out to me, and you've done nothing but supported the South Fulton Police Department and the citizens of South Fulton. So I really wanted to tell you thank you for that and everything that you've meant to the citizens of South Fulton. But I do have a question for Ms. Lipscomb. Is there any reason why the state of Georgia is one of the few states that have a windfall provision in their Social Security benefit?
You know I'm coming to South Fulton to do some retirement seminars next month, just to let you know. Okay, it's not each state, it's a federal law. It involves anybody's familiar, if you ever worked for an employer that did not contribute to Social Security. That includes schools, city, county governments, even federal employees hired before 1983. It was a rule put in place because they realized individuals, the computation was not correct. They were getting a windfall. They're giving credit for earnings when they had other earnings and they weren't paying the taxes on it. So that's why that occurs there. And then we usually see that a lot in city, county, municipality, public safety. We see that a lot. The law was passed back in 1983, just to let you know regarding that. So I will be at South Fulton, I think 4 times. So come on, talk to me. I'll take care of you. Okay, there you go.
All right. Very good. Yes, please.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for all you guys do. This is a question for the VA on behalf of my grandmother. She's actually in the hospital right now, and we're trying to find out how do we navigate getting benefits on behalf, since she's a veteran's wife. Are there any benefits for a veteran's wife?
Yeah, there is, such as for example, if the veteran passes of a service-connected condition, then the wife or next of kin, possibility of being granted benefits. So same as I told the previous, I would encourage you to come down to the RO, and we'll sit down. We can look into the file of the veteran and go from there and get the correct form to fill out. Yes.
I want to say thank you for this occasion. It's greatly appreciated. I don't have a question, but I want to thank you for your past services. As far as times when I've called your office, somebody always follows up. And I have not had that kind of thing from other congresspersons. So I just want to say thank you very much to your staff and to your office for always reaching out regardless of what the question is.
Well, look, we deeply appreciate it. I always brag on my staff, and Dylan, you heard that. And he did plenty. Give her a hand, won't you? We work hard, and we appreciate the feedback. Thank you so much. That means a lot to us. Yes.
Hello, I'm new in Fulton County, but I appreciate what you do also. I really do. I have a Medicare Advantage plan, but I was qualified for the extra help with Medicaid. I'm not sure who to go through with this, but it involves doctors taking my Humana plan, and then they don't take the Medicaid. And I finally found out, in reading the book, that they are required by federal regulations to accept both. And if they don't want to, if the Medicaid payment is zero, or they choose not to submit it, they have to drop that off, the part that Humana doesn't pay. Well, I'm finding a lot of doctors here in this area that, in fact, I'm finding one right now to get my refund back from last year because they made me pay what Humana didn't pay. And so I since changed doctors recently, and so I brought the information to their office, or I called their billing office to make sure. And her billing office said, well, we have others like this, but they generally just go ahead and pay. And she says, it's not very much, $4 or $5, maybe $25, that they just go ahead and pay the other part that Humana doesn't cover. And I'm thinking, it says there's a federal regulation involving this, and I can't get anyone to let me know what federal regulator to get a hold of. But it made me angry that there's people, that are lower income now because you're retired, even though you worked all your life, and they're actually letting the patient pay voluntarily for what they shouldn't have to pay at all. And this one that I've been fighting with from last year, I found out, this was in my book, I found out in April, called him April, I called him in May, called him in June, July, August, and yesterday the first time I really got kind of really stern. I don't usually get cranky, but so I was still waiting for the office. They would say, well, it's the billing office. And the billing office would say, well, it's the physician's office having to send us this, and back and forth. But that federal regulation, I can't get. I called Humana, I said, give me that federal regulation. They didn't know it. But again, like Humana, I called them, they says, well, you can switch to a PPO plan, and they'll pay for it. But they also gave me hospitals in other areas, Douglasville and Atlanta and Emory and other places, in case you have to go to a hospital. And all my doctors are Piedmont doctors. I mean, their offices are in Piedmont Hospital, first floor, second floor, whatever floor they are. And one person told me, well, you'll have to get new doctors if they don't take your Humana plan.
Yeah.
Well, that's ridiculous. I mean, it's all Piedmont. Everything's Piedmont. So but that federal regulation, I thought, I wish you guys would have put it in there because I would have thrown it in their faces. But my new doctor, it makes me upset. I didn't even want to go to her now. Now I got to think about finding another doctor that will accept both. But if you go in the provider book, very few take Humana, and they say they don't take they're not Medicaid approved yet or something. So what do I do at this point?
Well, could maybe one of, who up here, Miss McCullough? Yeah, would you help her? Thank you.
Medical services near you that do provide both. After this, I can get your information and I can get you connected with the Department of Community Health. But that isn't something that DHS covers, unfortunately. I'm not familiar with that. The Georgia Department of Human Services is just state regulated, and DCH we determine eligibility, so when you apply, we'll say yes or no. But then anything after that point goes to DCH.
Ms. Prince, I am on Social Security assistance. I'm back here in the very back. I got a notice in December that I had a meeting, and they informed me that I had to notify Social Security every year when my rent changed and what my out-of-pocket cost was, and I have not done that until this year. I was wondering if that's something new. Okay.
I'll speak with you one-on-one regarding that because that's a personal situation. I'll be glad to do that with you.
Okay. And I have one for Emma or when people
Miss-
try to get information on what Medicaid or Medicare covers because they're not for sure, and they are told that there is no answer, what are we supposed to do?
Well, I would encourage you all to look at the resource sheets that we have and contact your local DFACS office. These individuals are trained in what we provide, and they can point you in the right direction of what you're already receiving and what you're eligible for. So please contact, that's on the resource sheet, I believe, your local, everybody in here's local DFACS office, their information, their phone number, and their hours. So I would very much encourage you guys to go to them for any questions that you have on what you're eligible for.
Okay, thank you.
As far as state administered programs.
My question is for Mr. Watson here. My husband served in the Army and was stationed on, I believe that you pronounce it, Eniwetok Island. It's an island in the it's the Marshall Island there. And I have received a notice that I would be, as his widow, entitled to a $75,000 benefit. And I would like to know, this is tax-free and everything now, which organization should I go through to get this benefit?
I'm not aware of this 75,000 benefit. However, from the correspondence that came in the mail, I would find out where is it coming. Contact that.
This right here. It's Atomic Veterans Cancer.
Way to go.
Who's it from?
Atomic Veterans Cancer Benefit Program.
Okay,
It says the government compensation program is intended to provide $75,000 for each claimant who was among military personnel physically present at certain U.S. atmospheric nuclear testing locations.
So I'm not aware of that program or entity, but if you can get in contact with one of the state organizations, which we have listed on our website, and they can look further into it, or you can come to the office and we can look into it as well for you to see if it's any relation with the VA or so. But it sounds like an outside entity, and I don't know what rules they're governed under.
Okay.
Dylan, could you give her my card and let us?
We can make a copy, if you don't mind, we can make a copy of that document so that they can take with them, and so they can start investigating that right away.
Yeah.
And you can have your original back, and that way we can make sure that they have the information.
And I can take a look at it even after we get from the panel.
And Dylan, give her the card.
Carla,
so
go
you
ahead and
can
get that.
Keep it coordinated because
That copy.
we can get there. And the lady who was on before, would you mind giving her your card, although you're not direct on the Medicaid? Was that, who was, who? No. Who? I don't see. She's gonna come. You asked the question just before her, and she couldn't give you a direct answer, but she's in the Medicaid area, I believe. So she's gonna follow up with you. Is that the one?
She's right here.
Okay, yeah, all right. I want them two to get together. If she could just wait there after we're finished and help her. Okay, thank you.
We have another question right here.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Congressman. This is really a great opportunity because we seniors are often overlooked. I have a question for the lady next to you from the VA. I'm sorry, I can't read your name. I didn't bring my glasses. But my
Angela
husband
Williams.
has to go to the VA in Atlanta quite often. And that drive is really getting to be too hard. I'm 75, he's 88. And we were told we could get care done locally. But that's as far as it went. How can I pursue it?
So I can get, is this thing on? Okay. So I can get your name. Usually that goes through the primary care team, social worker through the PAC team. And so I can get with you and get your information and see how we can help you with that.
Great, thank you very much.
Yes.
Any more? Yes? All right.
Good afternoon. How y'all doing today?
Wonderful.
I'm not very sure of who I need to deal with, but I'm going to start off with my Social Security benefits. In 2019, I was changed from third Wednesdays to the third of the month. In doing so, I missed 2 payments. I am dealing with a IRS levy issue, and I sent letters out, and I came to the Social Security office, whereas I pulled from the Treasury, the IRS, and the Social Security website that no more than 15% of my income as a Social Security recipient should be ever taken from me. I have not received an increase since 2019, and I never received back those 2 payments. I felt it was an error on a clerk in the Social Security office changing me from the third Wednesday to the third of the month. When they, I guess, decided to send IRS anything, they send my entire check for 2 months. So I didn't receive anything. Upon visiting the Social Security office.
We'll talk one-on-one about this because it's a personal matter. I'll be glad to take your information and we'll address that there.
Well, but it is very important, and
yeah,
I think
that's what we'll talk afterwards on that.
But I
We'll
am
be glad
entitled,
to
as a senior, to have received at least a dime of cost of living or anything. But I have not had a dime increase since 2019.
We'll talk about it because it could be something due to the levy. But
And
we'll
that's
talk.
the question was, should I talk to Social Security or should I talk to the IRS?
Anything involving, just to let you know, anytime anybody has a garnishment or levy, we're just the income source. You have to go to the agency. For example, if I owed back child support, I'm getting Social Security retirement benefits, I would have to go to the Office of Child Support Enforcement. We're just the ones that get the legal notice, and we have to do it by law.
Okay.
So that's why you always go to the source whoever you owe the funds to, or whatever your agreement is, and we can make adjustments based on what they tell us to do. We can't do anything without their written permission.
Okay. Thank you
They
very
do that,
much.
but we'll talk one-on-one.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have one right here.
Yes, this is a technical question. Everything is done by email and online. Are there any requirements? My daughter-in-law tried to apply for Social Security, and she couldn't do it until she went to a laptop. Now, is there something that's missing there that?
No, anybody can call us, and we do phone appointments. We do it
No, I mean, to do it online.
No.
She was trying to do it
Okay.
on her, she probably was trying to use her phone, but she couldn't get it to go through.
Yeah, usually if you're applying for benefits, you can do it on your phone, but you have to create a My Social Security account first.
You have to create the account first.
Yeah, because we have to verify you are who you say you are, because you're
Very
filing
good.
for benefits. So
Does
that's why we
that
do.
go with the IR, everybody? Does this work with all societies as far as you know? No. But Social Security, you have to make an thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Now, Clara, and also remember, you can always do your appointment by phone. We don't do any in-person appointments right now. We have limited staff, and also we're trying to help those that really need that one-on-one in-person help right now. So we're imploring, if you're capable, you can do it by phone with us. Save yourself time and money. Give us a call. We can do a phone appointment, but if you want to do it online, you have to create your online account to file for any benefits or to ask for a replacement Social Security card online. That's a very good question, because people do run into that. I want you to be aware that we are still available. We don't force you to go all online, but we're always available for you by phone.
Any other? Yes.
Hello, thank you all. I really appreciate your assistance. I retired early, and I wanted to know if I could ever recoup.
It's on.
Okay. I retired early, so I received a lesser amount. And I was wondering if I would ever be able to recoup any dollars from that early retirement.
That's a very common question we get from retirees. Anytime you file before your own full retirement age, which is based on your year of birth, it is a lesser amount for the rest of your life. It's called early reduced retirement. And the way I explain it, it's good enough for me now, it's good enough for me for the rest of my life, is one way of explaining it. And your reduction's based on what age you started your benefits. 62 is the earliest point if you're filing for yourself, and that is between 70 to 75% depending on your year of birth. The only way your benefits could ever increase is you return back to work, because we take your top 35 years of work to calculate your benefits, or if there's a cost of living adjustment. But basically, your base computation always remains the same. We'll never increase it at a further point. You're welcome. And also, if you're 66 and a half and older, you can make as much as you want, and we don't care this year. Just want to throw that out there.
First of all, thank you for the panel and thank you for the information that you have provided. I want to ask you, what is can someone explain a spin down?
What?
Spin down, dealing with Medicare, I believe it is.
A spin down? Medicare. Medicaid? Who is? Can you?
It's Medicare, I believe it is.
See if it's working.
So there is like provision within Medicaid for spin downs. Essentially, certain different requirements allow you to reduce your income so you are eligible for the program. It's like the best way I know how to explain it. So that it may also be involved with Medicare, but just from the Medicaid perspective, essentially there are certain deductions you can take to decrease your income to make you eligible for certain programs.
So how do you, who would I speak to, because the person that I'm caring for had a spin down and then some kind of way it got taken away, and every time I've called Medicare, nobody seemed to know anything about it.
We can talk after and I can get you connected with somebody.
Right.
Yeah, so definitely through Medicaid we can help you out.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Yes, right here. Yeah.
I want to thank you for the help that you gave me when I was in need. Because you did real good to me.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me personally and to our staff who works feverishly for our constituents. Thank you for that compliment. I appreciate it. Anyone else? Oh,
No, she's waving.
anyone else?
Okay.
Well, we got information. We've got the knowledge. We got the understanding. And now you can put your wisdom to work. Those that follow up the call, and we're going to be here a while. If there are others that have more personal information, Dylan, raise your hand. And we have a staff here who's going to stay around in case there's anybody that wants further discussion. And I believe King David and King Solomon will be very proud of us because we accomplished just what they asked us to do in the Bible. And God bless the child that's got his own.
Amen. Congressman Scott, before we depart, we have some tokens of appreciation that we want to hand out, and my handy dandy person that was going to hand these out is not around. Yeah. So if you could pass those out to everybody on the panels. I have something special for Congress. No, just hold those. Just hold those. Just these. And I got Congressman Scott. We want to thank them for coming out. This is the first of many town halls that Congressman Scott will be doing, and he wanted to do it at Christian City. Congressman Scott, we have something special for you and your wife. So for you, we have a shirt. Yeah. Wow. And so we want him to represent Christian City.
I will wear it proudly. Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And
yeah, that's good.
And then for your, all right, this is for you. It's yours. And this is for your lovely wife. We have refreshments. As Congressman Scott has already mentioned, the panelists will be around so you can ask your personal questions. We have refreshments in the back. If you don't have any questions, we have refreshments in the back. Please consume the refreshments that we have. Take some home, give them to your neighbors, whatever, but let's consume what we have in the back. And then I just want to thank Gary and Isaac and Dylan and Matthew for being on the calls on a weekly basis to make this thing happen. And I just really appreciate your staff, Congressman Scott, for being diligent and being about business. So thank you so much. And thank you all for coming up and sharing all this good information to our residents, and they really appreciate it. The last thing I have is that we have, this is recorded, and we should be putting it on YouTube. Am I right? We'll have it on YouTube. And Carl, could you come out? We always do this at Christian City, Congressman Scott. Yeah. We always end with prayer. So I'm gonna ask my spiritual leader to come on up. Please do. And Jan, thank you so much.
Let's pray together. Lord, we thank you for this moment that we've had. What a wonderful time it was for those that care, and they've come to talk to us and the greater community around Christian City. For those that are watching over the internet, it's been a wonderful time to know that people are advocating for us. They have information. They're here because they care. And we thank you for each and every one, especially Congressman Scott and his team, for all that has been brought today. Be with us now as we have a time of fellowship. We ask your blessing upon the food. Thank you for this opportunity to share with each other informally. We pray in Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Wonderful.
Thank you.
No problem.